the year 2017 and 2021. And I would like to say that we see this as a great achievement by the ministry, and we'd like them to continue doing the same. And you realize that the Departmental Committee on Lands also reduced slightly the budget for titling, and with concurrence with the ministry, and also explained clearly to the Budget Committee why this was done, so that we can push money towards digitalization of titles, which, as I said earlier, is a big project that we would like to see it being funded. Honorable Speaker, with regard to recommendations, one of the policy recommendations is that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning should stop usage of cash. And I want to state here that it is not June, that it is by the 30th day of May 2021. So then it should have stopped. The National Treasury should allocate a vote to the State Department of Physical Planning, as I had clearly explained and stated the projects that it will go to. The government, through the cabinet, should review the current policy of centralizing the implementation of ICT. Majorly, the National Land Commission has a challenge with the purchasing of ICT, dealing with ICT projects, because this is being done at the Ministry of ICT, and they are saying that this causes challenges, and this year they recorded 0 in terms of implementation. They were not able to do anything. Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning should expedite the full implementation of digitization of land registries. Mr. Speaker, you notice that digitalization of land is up there. But most important is to ensure that the county offices are working, and the county offices have the infrastructure that is needed, that is purchasing of computers, so that now the ministry has been able to digitize Nairobi and its environs, and they are planning to go to the counties. So the recommendation of the Departmental Committee on Lands was that we need to see more construction of proper offices within the counties, and this is where they have requested construction of 3 offices, including 1 in Wajir. The northern region does not have a proper office, and this is one of the recommendations, Honorable Speaker. So with regard to financial recommendations, the committee recommends that the House approves the following. That is 1.437, 200,000 vote to the National Land Commission. And Honorable Speaker, I have said that this is very low. The National Land Commission has never received funding for development, and this is a concern, because this is where they'll be able to deal with issues at the counties. And also vote 112, the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, comprising of recurrent of 3,044,600,000 and development expenditure of 2,411,700,000. Honorable Speaker, I would like to just state the financial recommendations that were made by the Departmental Committee. The Departmental Committee recommends that 450 million to be reduced from the processing and titling and registration of title deeds in the Land Policy and Planning Program in the Ministry of Lands, and increases 250 million to go to settlement, as I had clearly explained. This 250 million, Honorable Speaker, is going to purchase of land for a group called Taita Taveta Teachers. And the land is in Kisauni, and it takes more than half of Kisauni constituency. And it is a matter that was passed by this House. So we really appreciate that this has finally been done. 100 million to be increased in the physical planning project, that is to make the the Department of Physical Planning to work. As I had said, it has been given a very low amount, and clearly I've also explained that it requires about 1.9 billion. So this is just to kickstart the work of the Department of Physical Planning, which has been newly created. And then 50 million to go to construction of land registries in order to be able to boost the digitalization program. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to other recommendations that the committee made, that the National Treasury should avail additional funding in the future, about 700 million, or to go to Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning for digitalization process, so that we can see as many of our land in our counties being digitized. Those who have tried to experience the Nairobi The Nairobi one can see the advantage that we are talking about, such that a person can be able to search, to get a search within less than 3 minutes. 300 million also to settlement. Honorable Speaker. Can't open. Sorry, just give me a minute, Mr. Speaker. 65 million, Honorable Speaker, for construction of land registries, I'd explain. 600 million also to National Land Commission for vesting. 74 million to National Land Commission for purchase of vehicles so that they are able to move. And 65 million to facilitate recruitment of technical staff. Honorable Speaker, with those remarks, I would like to support and thank you very much.
The next is Chair for Sports. The next one is Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Not there. Transport, Public Works and Housing. Not there. We shall have Chair for Defense, and that's the last of the chairs. We shall go to the...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity also to make our remarks on behalf of the Committee of Defense and Foreign Affairs. Honorable Speaker, we want to acknowledge from the onset the support, the tireless work done by the Committee of Budget and Appropriation Committee, running through all the 12 counties. Honorable Speaker, took a lot of hard work, and we appreciate the input they got from those counties. Honorable Speaker, this is the 4th annual budget to be prepared in the 2nd term of the Jubilee administration under the economic transformation agenda, which now puts emphasis on Big Four agenda, and we are hoping that this budget will be able to help us achieve it as a country, because the success of those Big Four agenda will help the country to raise the kind of money that we are looking for, to create employment opportunities for the unemployed youths, to also spur the economy, Honorable Speaker, so that we have a bigger cake to share from, as opposed to what we have at the moment, where all of us are struggling to get a pie of what is already exhausted, Honorable Speaker, because you can only give what you have, and when you don't have, Honorable Speaker, your wisdom demands that you get a way of increasing that which you have so that you can have something to give out. Honorable Speaker, our security forces, particularly the Kenya Defense Forces, has managed to keep the Al-Shabaab threats at bay. The attacks on our soil have reduced tremendously in the 2nd term of the Jubilee administration compared to what we experienced in the 1st term. We are alive to the threats the militants still pose to our people and our nation at large. Our forces remain alive to these threats and are determined to ensure that they have neutralized the militants completely. And this is good for the country. We all owe it to the nation, and our forces have done their bit, because there's been a tremendous improvement compared to previous years, what the Army has been able to achieve, of course, together with the rest of the agencies who are teaming up together to ensure that the Kenya we live in is a safe country for everybody to survive and be able to achieve their full potential. Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate the Minister of Defense for prudent utilization of resources appropriated to them by this House. For the first time, Honorable Speaker, they were given an unqualified opinion by the auditors when the audit report came out. And that's good news for all of us, because in the past, as a country, we have always assumed that what is given to the Kenya Army is a top secret, and therefore we don't know how to spend it. Having had an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to go to some of the institutions, the installations, I can attest on behalf of the colleagues in Parliament and the Kenyans that for sure the Kenya Army has done, and probably is one of the most successful institutions we have in this country, in terms of performance, in terms of utilization of resources, and in terms of professionalism. No wonder the president is tapping into their potential and using them to instill some values and ethos to our society, hopefully that some of us will be able to pick it up from that point and make our country great again, as it should be for the good of our generations to come, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, however, I want to register my disappointment that there have been some pending bills, despite the effort by the Kenya Army. In 2019-2020 financial year, for instance, the ministry closed the year with pending bills amounting to 8.1 billion. This is against the expectation or against the assumption that most of us have that the Kenya Army or the defense forces are given their money in full. Honorable Speaker, the danger with this kind of pending bill is that it exposes them. And the last thing we want to have is our army being dragged to court in the name of failing to pay their pending bills. And therefore, the danger with this kind of arrangement, pending bills, especially in an institution which is as critical as the Kenya Army, Honorable Speaker, is that they will use the first charge whenever they will get their budget will be this pending bill. Consequently, that will reduce the money they have in their budget. So we are urging the Minister of Finance to be able to move with speed and make good the pending, the outstanding money to defense, so that in due course they will be able to pay their pending bills, because these are a critical institution, and the country is as good as its army and defense, and we want to have them comfortable within our economic comfort zone, so that we are able to ensure safety and the protection to our people, even for the investors to be interested in coming to Kenya, so that they can put their resources. Honorable Speaker, the National Intelligence Services plays a critical role in providing security intelligence and counterintelligence to deal with emerging threats such as terrorism, extraordinary threats, internal and socio-political threats, environmental and regional cyber threats, among others. Despite a proposed allocation of 42.5 billion, the agency still faces budgetary constraints like any other agency. We implore upon the service to deliver with available resources given the macroeconomic constraints facing our country, such rising debt levels and ever-growing fiscal deficit. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is equally a very critical institution. But even as we speak about that, Honorable Speaker, the National Intelligence is one critical institution which overlaps almost in every department of sector of this government. They're everywhere, and their efficiency, their success is actually going to impact on every department, every sector of this economy. Because without intelligence reports, Honorable Speaker, we have no capacity of knowing what the neighbors are doing. We have no chance of knowing what the foreigners are planning against us or for us. We have no chance, Honorable Speaker, of even developing systems to counter whatever is coming. Honorable Speaker, unknown to many Kenyans, national intelligences as an agency have done a lot for this country. During the COVID situation, they were used immensely, especially in tracking the people who are COVID positive to wherever they are for the good of the country. And yet, we all assume that that's a docket which should be handled by the Ministry of Health. But the Ministry of Health have no capacity in that sense of tracking down all the people involved or concerned, so that we can bring order into the country in terms of managing the COVID situation. And when we all succeed, Honorable Speaker, we succeed as a country, and we need to do that so that we can be able to attract the foreign investors and even the local investors to have the comfort so that they can be able to do their business knowing that the big brother is watching over them in a good way to ensure that they are safe. So, Honorable Speaker, the National Intelligence is one key institution that we all need to support. And I'm grateful that the Budget Committee has been kind. Within the constraint of the budget resources they have, they've been able to support them. However, they would have desired, because their proposal was, Honorable Speaker, they get about 46 billion or thereabout, so that they can be able to achieve their goal. This being a new year, And here we are preparing for national election, Honorable Speaker. It's critical that the NSIS is given resources and support they need to ensure that there is safety, to ensure there is order, to ensure there is protection, because they are the people who feed our intelligence services, they are the people who feed the information to the police, to CID, so that they are able to act on the information they have been given. And you see, Honorable Speaker, when we started supporting them, the threats of Al-Shabaab and the other agencies have gone down drastically. Some people might say, what is it being done by NSIS, Honorable Speaker? Their work is to stop. Their work is to preempt. Their work is to ensure that it doesn't happen. But if people are waiting for things to happen, then to appreciate that NSIS is working. Honorable Speaker, me and my committee, we have had an opportunity of going to their institutions, and I will tell you, Honorable Speaker, we have never appreciated the kind of work they're doing. It's great, and we are grateful that we have the kind of people in that department, and especially under the leadership of the General, who has done a tremendous work, and we are all happy as a team, and even the resources which have been allocated to them, Honorable Speaker, has been used prudently. However, it's not enough, just like it is not enough in all the departments of our country or our economy. But we are urging the Committee of Budget and Appropriation to be able to allocate them a little more money so that they will ensure that our country is safe. Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs faces uncertainties given the level of funding against the requirement for the ministry. First, the depreciation of shilling against the dollar, because you appreciate, Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Foreign Affairs are dealing with foreign institutions, and that their operations most of the times are foreign currency based. Whenever they're sending money to our embassies, they're sending them in dollars, or they're sending them in the hard currency, the foreign currencies. And therefore, they suffer the risk of fluctuation. Whenever our shilling is weakened, Honorable Speaker, that impact reduces their budget by almost 4 to 5%, depending on the fluctuation, Honorable Speaker. So we are urging the Budget Committee to be able to appropriate them some funds to cushion them on those fluctuations, because they have to get money somehow from their own savings to use in the event that the shilling has fallen or fluctuated or depreciated against the hard currencies in the world. The current arrangement was that the mission retains correction for visas, passports, and other fees, and the money was utilized to fund immigration attaches in foreign missions. Honorable Speaker, there is a feeling, and this was the proposal from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, that all the departments which are sending or seconding their officers to the embassies, they should be able to finance their operations over there, Honorable Speaker, because in their budgets, they have that provision. But unfortunately, when they send their officers, except NSIS, the rest of the departments which are sending their officers as attaches to the Minister of Foreign to the embassies, Honorable Speaker, they have had to get the Minister of Foreign Affairs to finance their operations, which eats up into their budget, Honorable Speaker, and yet again, this budget has been given by the relevant department. And we think, Honorable Speaker, that all the agencies which are being represented at the embassies should be able to finance and provide for their officers. Honorable Speaker, the policy on centralization of ICT services was not possible to be implemented in foreign missions. There was need for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be funded directly to enable them to leverage on ICT for service delivery. While the committee welcomes the shift in policy change, the addendum as submitted by the National Treasury has not provided for such resources under the program Foreign Policy and Diplomacy, Honorable Speaker. And we think, whereas the government has a good vision, they want to centralize the services, but there are some critical institutions, Honorable Speaker, because of the security and because of the kind of information they're handling, the sensitivity of those information, we feel as a committee that it might help to have them given some exemptions so that they can run it independently, Honorable Speaker, from the policy that we have today of centralized service provision. Mr. Speaker, sir, The ministry has acquired some assets all over in the world, Honorable Speaker. We have some assets in some countries. We desire to have in every country, Honorable Speaker, because if you have had an opportunity of going to some of these embassies, Honorable Speaker, for example, if you go to Washington, Kenya has an asset, a very, very, very prime asset. You go to New York, Honorable Speaker, we have an asset. You go to Kinshasa, we have an asset. You go to Zambia, we have probably one of the best assets. You go to South Africa, as a country, we have an asset. But these assets, Honorable Speaker, just like any other asset you have at home, must be provided. You must have a budget to take care of their innovations and their maintenance. So we urge the government to have a budget for the same so that they can provide. Honorable Speaker, the regional development authorities require support. We either make up our mind, let them go to the counties, or we get them funded adequately so that they can do the duties they're supposed to be doing. We're already coming up with appeal as a committee to align the RDS, the regional authorities, to national government so that they can be able to achieve that which they need to achieve. Given the tight fiscal framework, we could not get resources to allocate to the departments. We call upon the National Treasury to consider the State Department for more resources should the fiscal space allow to enable them to undertake the non-funded critical activities, Honorable Speaker. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker,
The Honorable Ole Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute in such an important function of this House, the function of budgeting and resource allocation to various ministries, departments, and agencies of the government, Honorable Speaker, which is our sole mandate here. Honorable Speaker, and there is some issues that I would like to touch. One of them is ACPO, a program started by my president, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, with very good intention to uplift the life of the vulnerable members of our society. ACPO, in full, means access to government procurement opportunities by persons with disabilities, youth, and women. Honorable Speaker, this stands at 30% of all contracts that are given out by the government, that it should be given to this group. Honorable Speaker, but persons with disabilities have been marginalized within the marginalized groups, because when issuing ACPO, Honorable Speaker, or those contracts to the three groups, they have been able to give, because women have the backing of their husbands, 25%. Youth are faster than persons with disability, so they end up having 4.5%. What only remains for persons with disability is 0.5%. Honorable Speaker,
The Honorable Millie Odhiambo, what is out of order?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't know whether the honorable member is in order to mislead this House. He has just said that the women are advantaged because when they're applying for ACPO, they have the backing of their husbands. Mr. Speaker is misleading the House by presuming that all the women who are applying for ACPO are married and that their husbands are able. Mr. Speaker, in what we call intersectionality, we have women who are disabled who are not married and others who are married with poor husbands. So is it in order to mislead this House?
The Honorable Millie, you are absolutely right. Every woman, every man in this country is equal before the law. The Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Before I was rudely interrupted by Honorable Millie, who is a very good contributor in this House, Honorable Speaker, and very intelligent member of Parliament. But I say that majority of women have the backing of their husband. Therefore, they take 25% of the chunk that is supposed to be given to the three groups. 4.5% go to the youth, and only 0.5% remain with the person with disability. And sometimes the tenders that are given to person with disability are not economically viable. Supply of toothpick, supply of toilet papers, and supply of such things that will not economically empower them. And even on top of supplying, Honorable Speaker, they are still pending bills. Some of This well thought out program by our president to empower us have become as a curse, Honorable Speaker, because some of persons with disability have committed suicide because they have borrowed from the banks, they have done the contract that have been awarded under ACPO, Honorable Speaker, but they are not paid, and the banks are after them. They are being auctioned, and some of them have gone into even more poverty than when they applied for these tenders, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other issue is the issue of white elephants, Honorable Speaker. That one have come out very clearly. Apart from the Mtiani House that started in 1986, Honorable Speaker, and is still going on and still allocate money, and apart from other programs that have been raised from 18 million all the way to 200 million, and we are not yet there, we have not finished paying, we have a balance of 70 million, Honorable Speaker, there is this issue of standard gauge railway. Honorable Speaker, I used to see from the media saying that it is a rail to nowhere. I did not believe them until I followed phase 2B of standard gauge railway, Honorable Speaker. It ended up in a remote area called Emurtoto. The shopping center have one shop and one butchery. Honorable Speaker, if then rail to nowhere does not mean that, then I don't know what it means, Honorable Speaker. What is the catchment area of one butchery that is open only on Wednesdays and one small shop, Honorable Speaker, will be a catchment area for a rail that have ended there? Because I believe for economic viability of any infrastructure, the road or a rail, then it must start from a bigger town, end in a big town, so that there will be transportation between the two and a catchment area, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the standard gauge railway is only 12 kilometers shy of Narok. But from the Susua economic zone, we have already constructed 52 kilometers to Emurtoto, Honorable Speaker. That 52 kilometers, Honorable Speaker, is their misuse, Honorable Speaker. It is open for vandalism, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, construction of 12 kilometers will have given the standard gauge railway economic viability by opening up the Great Lake region, opening up Narok and part of northern Tanzania, and opening up South Rift, Honorable Speaker, and Central Rift, Honorable Speaker. It will be transporting wheat, barley, potatoes, animal byproducts, soapstones, Honorable Speaker, and even fish from Kisumu, Honorable Speaker. But I don't know why it is stalled. I don't know if it is because of some of the MPs, and I plead with the government, and I plead with my president. If I have wronged you in any way, forgive me. Don't punish Narok residents because of some of us. If MPs from that region have joined Tanga, please don't punish the 2 million voters from that region because of some of us. Let us have the standard gauge railway be complete at least to a town. Even if it is not to Kisumu, as a featured earlier, through Bomet and Kisii, then just let it fall in where roads accessibility is there. There is only motorbike access to where the standard gauge railway have ended in Emurtoto. No vehicle can reach Emurtoto. It's only about a motorcycle or a bicycle, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again, I may be very notorious in speaking my mind, Honorable Speaker, but I still plead with the government. In the name of God, don't punish 6.5 million Kenyans with disability because of me. 250 million, Honorable Speaker, have been chopped from the budget of National Council for Persons with Disability. 250 million. And this is the money that goes for wheelchairs. Honorable Speaker, there are still Kenyans with disability crawling in our streets. There is a child with disability crawling into the pit latrine, the dirty pit latrine of a primary school, Honorable Speaker, and soiling their hands, Honorable Speaker, and using the same hands to eat food. The self-esteem of that child is lowered, and even passing exam become a problem, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, now we are chopping 250 million from persons with disability, Honorable Speaker. Some of this money, Honorable Speaker, around 50 million, goes for sunscreen lotion to protect people with albinism from the effect of sun rays. Sun rays for persons with albinism bring cancer, Honorable Speaker. We can no longer protect them because the government have chopped money from the National Council for Persons with Disability, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, some of the money that was chopped, around 30 million, was intended for school bursaries for children with disabilities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the House that as a person with disability, my only option to succeed in life is education. I cannot become a shepherd. I cannot become a watchman because they'll break my other leg that was a bit stable, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I cannot fruit mkokoteni, Honorable Speaker. My option is probably to study. If I'm blind, I become a lawyer because lawyers use their brains and mouth. Honorable Speaker, if I'm physically disabled, I become a doctor or I become a politician. And nowadays, to be an MP, you need a degree. So these people need degrees so that they can become here because they are physically disabled, but they have their mouth and they have their brain, just the way I've used my mouth without speed governor here in this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, but their money have been chopped. How will they get education? Honorable Speaker, lastly, the commercial attaches, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in this country, we export nothing and import everything. No wonder our economy is going down year after year. Honorable Speaker, human resource, one brain channel to proper use is more worth than all the oil wells in Libya, Honorable Speaker. If we channel our youth, because they are very brilliant youth, into proper use by exporting labor, Honorable Speaker, into the Middle East and other countries, because we went to Qatar. In Qatar, there are 35,000 Kenyans, migrant workers, working there. We need to export more of our laborers so that we can earn foreign exchange and also reduce this issue of unemployment. I do support, Honorable Speaker, this particular report. Thank you.
Well spoken and passionately so, the Honorable Sankok. But I do believe that the budget cannot be made or proposed with the intention to punish certain sections of the population just because of their association. Because the freedom of association is protected under Article 36 of our own Constitution. And every one of us is allowed, is free to associate in whatever form that they may wish to. So we cannot budget with the intention to punish certain sections of our population just because they may be associating with people that for the moment we may not desire ourselves to associate with. So the budget is our budget. And the constraints may be the reasons why certain budgets have been reduced must be the exigencies of the time. But I do not believe it's because of associating with one person or the other one that may not look desirable to some quarters. So that is the way it is. The Honorable Mwakuona, the member for Undanyi.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to first and foremost support the adoption of the report by the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the revenue and expenditure estimates for the financial year 2021-2022. Honorable Speaker, this morning I'm a proud member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, having, and of course, I must congratulate our chair, Honorable Kanini Kega, and all the members for their sacrifice and commitments towards making sure that this report comes to the House in time. Honorable Speaker, I want to speak about 2 or 3 things. One, Honorable Speaker, this year's budget is coming at a time where we are faced by a myriad of challenges. One, of course, being COVID. But having COVID with us, yes, this is unforeseen. But, Honorable Speaker, the issue of pending bills has been spoken in this House for quite a while now. I remember some 2 years ago, our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, gave in a directive that all pending bills needed to be paid as a first charge by all ministries. Honorable Speaker, these item pending bills continue to pile, and it appears that National Treasury has not found a way of either forcing or implementing the presidential directive, making sure that pending bills have been paid. Let me pick Department of Minister of Infrastructure and Roads, Honorable Speaker. We were told by the submissions by the committee chair that we have in excess of 90 billion in pending bills only for roads infrastructure, Honorable Speaker. These pending bills have negated the ability of the ministry to award new contracts that are extremely essential for the growth and development of this country, Honorable Speaker. You realize that we have roads that have been advertised and projects under the Ministry of Infrastructure that needs to be awarded to contractors. But because of the item pending bills, the ministry is taking its time. And they have indicated that, that they would want to reduce the 90-plus pending bills to some considerable levels before they award new projects, Honorable Speaker. But this brings into perspective and it makes us, some of us, analyze these pending bills, Mr. Honorable Speaker. You realize that there are areas in this country, the so-called pending